Last week, we talked about, at the end of the lesson, we talked about different countries that all have English as their native language. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And I have to get this right. 1 second. It's always difficult to shape this thing and get the most of you that I can see possible. There we go. Okay, so let's close this. Let's close this. Okay, so last week we ended the lesson by talking about different countries where people grow up, people speak English as they're growing up. Their mothers speak English to them. And so we call this the mother tongue, right? So what language does your mother have? And we came up with a good list, right? We came up with Canada, America or USA, and the United Kingdom. And of course, the United Kingdom is made up of lots of small countries, England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales. And there's Australia, there's New Zealand, there's South Africa. And there are a couple of other small countries here and there that have English as their mother tongue. But sometimes it's important to learn that there are differences between how we say things or what we say. Sometimes it's vocabulary, sometimes it's accent, right? So sometimes it's just difficult to understand somebody because of the accent, right? I say bottle of water, right? But someone from England might say bottle of water, yeah? So if you're not ready for the accent, you might misunderstand them a little bit, okay? But this isn't just in English, right? So, for example, here in Czech Republic, if I say the word pozor, right? Pozor, you guys have that word, right? But here in Czech Republic, it means watch out, danger, caution, right? Pozor, pozor, there's an autobus, it's coming to hit you, right? But there in Russia, if I said pozor, it means something completely different, right? It means shame, shame, right? So if someone is about to get hit by a bus, you don't say shame, shame, you say, watch out, danger, right? So it can be quite interesting. Czech Republic has a lot of words like this. They don't translate well to Russian, but for example, if I say the word черстві. Oops, where's the Y? There it is, черстві. So this C with the hook, it's a ch sign, черстві. So if I want some bread, I say I want some черстві bread, and that means very fresh, very wonderful. But if I go to Poland, which is right next door, and I say I want some черстві bread, they'll all look at me and like, because there it means hard and it means stale, gross, right? So I have to be careful with the words that I learn, and I can't just use them however I want. Sometimes it's like this in English too. So today I wanted to talk about vocabulary differences. And the way I'm going to talk about vocabulary differences is I have a really nice video. I found this video on YouTube, and there are many, many videos like it. And it's from this man here. His name is Korean Billy, and that's why we have the Korean subtitles down here. So you don't have to read the Korean subtitles, but he has 3 of his friends there, and they are from 3 different countries. And we will watch that video and see how they'll see a picture of something, and then they will tell us, what do you call this thing? How do you pronounce this word, or when you're at home? Okay, so to help us along, I have this worksheet. Does everybody have this worksheet?
Yes.
Yes.
The paper? Okay, good. If you don't, it's no problem. Just you can write along with us just on a regular piece of paper. So this worksheet isn't absolutely necessary, but it's good to have. Okay? Okay, good. So let's start with the video, and we'll get an introduction, and Korean Billy will tell you what the object is. He'll tell you, they're going to look at pictures, and he'll ask, what do you call these pictures? Okay?
Hello everyone, this is Korean Billy, and this is
American John.
British Sam.
And Australian Bella.
And today we're going to talk about different kinds of English, like American, British, and Australian. And today we're going to talk about different vocabulary. So I have prepared 10 different pictures. I'm going to ask you, how do you call each picture? Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely.
Right, you guys ready?
So the first one is...
All right, what is this thing? So first I'm going to ask you if you know what this is, and then we'll listen to American John, British Sam, and Australian Bella, and we'll ask them what they call it. Okay. So what would you call this place? Does anybody have a guess?
Gas station.
Okay, so I heard someone say gas station. Where do you think they call it a gas station? Would they call that a gas station in the US, in England, or in Australia?
In England?
Well, that's a good guess, but actually they call it something different there. So, do you want to guess again? Anybody else? It's here in the United States. They call it a gas station. Okay. And that's because of the fuel, the liquid that you put in your car, in your automobile, is called gas, or gas is short for gasoline. Okay. Does anybody know what they would call it in Britain or in England? Lisa? No? No guesses anywhere? Okay. We'll listen in and see what the three have.
This one.
I already know what the British is on this one.
Let's go.
Gas station.
Petrol station.
We call it the petrol station, but we also call it the servo.
Ah, servo.
I've heard of
That's
that.
right.
Servo is service station.
Yeah,
Right?
but just shortened. We have a lot of slang for things like this.
Because we
Convenience
also have
store.
service stations. It has a petrol station, but it's also for like taking a break. So they're usually alongside the motorway, and yeah, you can pull in for a break. So there's a petrol station and lots of shops where you can just take a break or eat something.
But there are like different kinds of petrol other than gas, right?
Yes, there are. You have gas and diesel together, so we still just call it gas station.
Okay, then.
Okay, good. So let's see. We'll go back to this one. What's this? Good. So in Britain, they call it a petrol station. Petrol station. Has anybody heard this word before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good. And the reason why they call it a petrol station is because of this fluid, this stuff that you put into your car is called petrol. And if you say petrol in the United States, people won't know what you're talking about. They'll think, is that some special gas for some special car or something? It sounds a little crazy, right? Let's see. And in Australia, does anybody remember what Australian Bella said?
Servo.
Yeah, she said servo, which is short for service station. Right? Interesting, right? And if someone says service station in the United States, I would think that's where they want to get their car fixed, right? So if they want to get their car repaired, then you might say a service station. Interesting, huh? And then, yeah, so they also use the word petrol in Australia. How do you like their accents? Is it difficult to understand their accents?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay. So which person has the hardest accent to understand? John, Billy, Sam, or Bella?
Billy.
Billy? Yeah, he's got the Southeast Asian accent, right? How about British Sam? He speaks kind of very proper, right? It's kind of fun. Okay. Any questions? Easy peasy? Okay.
No.
All right, good. Here's the next picture.
Next one is
What are these?
French fries.
Yeah, they're French fries. Who calls them French fries? Americans, British people, or Australians?
American.
Yeah, Americans, yeah. So we would call them French fries. Good. And what other word do you think they use for this?
Chips are British.
Chips, very good, very good. Chips are British, okay. And then in Australia, we'll listen to Bella because she has.
Picture.
Sorry?
Chips is the next picture.
Yeah, right. So I would call these chips. So Arena said chips is this next picture here. Does anybody know what I would call these in Britain? Yes.
Crisps.
Sorry? Someone said it.
Crisps.
Yeah, there you go. Crisps. Crisps. And this is a very difficult word to say. Crisps. Crisps. That's the s at the end. And so they're very crunchy, very crispy, right? And so this is where they get their name. But we'll listen to Bella because Bella has something very interesting to say about these here.
Fries or French fries?
Chips.
Chips.
and chips is also different in America, right? Chips is
Chips is crisps.
the snacks.
It's like the potato
Potato
chips.
chips.
Right.
Yeah,
Potato chips.
exactly.
And you call it crisps,
Crisps.
right?
They are crisps.
Yeah.
We just call it chips.
Chips.
That's chips and crisps are also chips.
Well, that's confusing.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you say I want a side of chips, do they say which type?
Yeah.
And you say chips.
Well, it depends on the context.
But
You know,
let's say
like,
you get a sandwich with French fries or chips. What do you say?
why would you get like crisps with a sandwich?
You
There are some
crisps
weird
with a
people.
sandwich?
All right. So she says, chips are chips and chips are chips, right? So everything's a chip. And then they asked her, well, how do you know which one you're getting if you just say chips? And Bella says, well, if you're going to get a sandwich, who wants a sandwich with potato chips, with these things? If you can get French fries, you're gonna get French fries, right? So
Yes.
yeah, so no contest. There's no reason. When you say chips, everybody wants these things, right? Nobody wants these things. Good. All right. So here we go.
The next one is-
picture. What is this thing?
Metro.
Underground.
Okay, Metro, underground. Arina, who do you think says Metro? Do you have a guess?
Airline maybe.
Australia, maybe. Okay. They actually just call it a train. So we'll put train here. Jane, you said underground, right?
Is British.
It's British, good. Underground,
Yes.
good. And so that means that in the United States, we call it the Metro, or you can call it the subway, like the sandwich place, Subway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Metro in Russia too.
Yeah, it's called the Metro almost everywhere. It's called the Metro here in Czech Republic as well. Okay. There's one more name for it in Britain. Does anybody know what that other name is? All right. We'll have a listen and we'll see.
This one.
We would call it the subway.
The tube.
The train.
Keeping it simple.
We don't have like a subway system.
So you don't really use words like underground or subway?
Because it's not underground, so.
Okay.
But that's true because we don't use the underground outside of London.
It's only the London Underground.
Yeah,
and then
literally
everything
because
else
it's
is
underground.
Tube.
Yeah.
Oh, so outside of London it's just the train.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, good. So they also call it the tube. So a tube is just a hollow pipe. And so it's a hollow pipe underground, right? And it has the trains in it. And this is also why we call it the subway, because it's sub. If you know sub is under. The subway is underground, right? And British Sam, he said that outside of London, the trains go up over the ground, and so they don't call it the underground outside of London. They just call it trains, right? So this is just a train. Interesting, eh?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So the next picture.
Next one is?
Does anybody know what these are?
Flip-flops.
Flip-flops. Good. Where do they call them flip-flops?
American.
American.
Flops. Good. And also in Britain, they call them flip-flops. And then also in America, I might call them sandals. Sandals. I don't know if they have any special name for that. But this is going to get a little funny because the word that the Australians use is the same word that we use for underwear, right? So it'll get a little funny, but let's listen in and see what they have to say.
This one.
Flip-flops.
Do we also say flip-flops? Sandals,
You don't say
maybe?
thongs?
That's Australian.
Oh, it is?
Thongs, yeah.
Thongs.
That's confusing on a
That
whole
could be
nother
really
level.
embarrassing,
It
right?
can be
Yeah.
very embarrassing.
Very embarrassing.
Yeah.
So what do you call the thong?
G-string?
Ah, okay.
Just really-
We use G-string and thong
we-
almost interchangeably,
yeah.
although G-string
Right.
can be thinner.
How do you know this? How do you know this?
Yeah.
That could be embarrassing. When I
Yeah.
hear like I bought some new thongs.
Yeah.
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 See, like, I don't know
Yeah.
why you're telling me that. I don't need to know that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. When I'm talking to
TMI.
people who aren't Australian, I say flip-flops.
Oh,
You
okay.
know.
Yeah,
you
I know.
better.
Yeah.
Okay. So the most important thing that she says is at the very end there. So they call, yeah, they call them thongs, right? And so this underwear, we call it a thong, and then they call it a G-string, just in case you want to know. So the most important part that she says is that when she is not speaking to people from Australia, she knows not to use this word, right? Because it can be confusing, it could be weird, and so she doesn't use that word, she uses the other word. And this happens to me in Europe when I'm speaking to people. Sometimes I will use the British word because I know the British word is much more common. People learn British English a lot more than they learn American English. Okay, so could be quite important that that you use the right word sometimes. But don't worry about it. It's not so. If you use a word that we know is meant to be a different word, we're pretty good at understanding. Good.
Next one is
What is this?
this one.
Sandwich.
Oh, John already said sandwich. And so, of course, they call it a sandwich here. And here, Bella starts coming up with her slang, her funny Australian slang.
That's like a BLT.
But it's
But it's a sandwich.
HLT.
Yeah. It's Australian
It's a sandwich.
sandwich.
If you wanted to be really Australian, you could say it's a sanger.
Sanger.
It's the slang for sandwich.
We say sarnie. It's like Sarnie.
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 See, I've heard Sammy before, but
Sammy?
not in the U.S. or not from a U.S.
Yeah.
program.
There
Just
isn't any
sandwich.
like slang for sandwich, right?
It's just just sandwich.
Yeah.
All right. So you can call it a sandwich, or if you want to sound really Australian, you can call it a sanga. Sanga. Funny, right? And then here,
Sarnie.
yeah, British Sam called it a sarnie, right? And then American John, he forgot. He's been away from the United States for so long that he forgot. We have many, many different words for sandwich. And you could even see it right up here. What kind of sandwich do you get from Subway? You get a submarine sandwich, right? It's very long and it looks like a submarine, one of those boats that go underground. So you can get a sub. I've heard the word hero before, a big hero sandwich. A hoagie. What else have I heard? Hot brown, Cuban. We love sandwiches in the United States, so we have lots and lots of different words for it. Okay, good.
Next
All
one
right.
is
What is this thing?
Lift.
Yeah, it's a lift. Where do they say lift?
American.
Yeah,
For
we-
Britain,
Britain.
Yeah, in Britain, we call it. Does anybody know what we call it?
Elevator.
Elevator, right. And this is where we start understanding a little bit about Australian English. It's kind of a big mix of everything, right? So let's listen.
this one.
Elevator.
Lift.
I guess elevator, but you'll hear both kind of interchangeably.
Oh, okay. So
Right in
you use
between.
both.
Yeah, and like on the signs, some places will say lifts, some places will say elevator.
Is there anything that says elevator lift?
No, it's one or the other.
All right, so they use both words, and there's no difference. It's just whatever they feel like using. Okay? So some people will use elevator, and some people will use lift. All right, good. Here we go.
Next one is
What is this restaurant called?
McDonald's.
McDonald's, right? So we call it McDonald's. And they call it in Britain, McDonald's. And in Australia, they also call it McDonald's, but they have a special name for it.
yeah, I think that's what this one is for Australian
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Australian
Yeah.
only. McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Macca's.
Yeah.
There are actually a few that have the sign changed to say Macca's instead of McDonald's.
Really?
That could be really embarrassing when Korean people see those kind of signs for the first time.
This is an off-brand of McDonald's.
Yeah. Fake McDonald's
Is
or
this
something like
really
that.
McDonald's?
Yeah. Why was McDonald's changed into Macca's?
Because we're lazy, we don't want to say the full word. Like anything that can be shortened will be shortened. Like ambulance is ambo, avocado is avo,
Afternoon.
like afternoon avo.
Avo.
Yeah.
All right, so they call it Macca's. And they use this word so often that sometimes they forget when they're speaking to people who aren't from Australia. I have a friend, she is from Australia, and she lived here in Prague for a little bit. And one day she asked me if I wanted to go to Macca's. And I didn't know what she was saying. I had no idea. And so I said, okay, let's go to Macca's. I thought it was maybe some Czech restaurant named Macca's. And then she took me to McDonald's. And if I knew it was McDonald's, I would say, no, I don't like McDonald's. So very, very fun, right? And this, of course, is an ambulance. Ambulance. What did she call it?
MB.
Ambo.
Ambo.
Yeah. Mhm. And this is an avocado. Avocado. And what did she call an avocado?
Avo.
Avo. Right? And This is the afternoon. And after.
After.
She called it the arvo. Mhm. Arvo. And they use this word quite often. So that same friend that I talked to that used to live here in Prague, she texted me on my mobile phone and she said, "What are you doing tomorrow, Arvo?" And then I texted her back, "What is Arvo?" And then she said, "Oh, sorry, I forgot that you don't know what Arvo is." But now I do. Now I do. And now you know. Right? Good. So they always like to shorten their words. Pretty silly, right?
Arrived. Yes.
Yeah, kind of silly. All
Next
right.
one is
What is this?
Candies.
Candy.
Sweets.
Sweet.
Candies, sweets. Where do they say candies? Where do they say sweets? I would call this candies. And then let's make this a little bit smaller. Hold on. I did change the size. This isn't working. I don't have my line. Oh, there we go. Okay, so they call them candies, and then in Britain they call them sweets. And then, does anybody have any idea what they call them in Australia? Let's listen in.
this one.
Candy.
Sweets.
Lollies.
Lollies.
Wow.
Not a lollipop. What's
It's not a lolly.
What is it?
It's a sweet.
It's a lolly.
What about the circle
It's a
one?
lolly.
That's a lollipop.
Lollipop
Oh, you
and
say
lolly.
lollipop.
Okay, good. So candy, sweets. Uh-oh. Can't see my screen. All right, there it goes. And lollies. And whenever we think of the word lolly, we think of a lollipop. And the pop part of the word means it's on a stick. Okay, so if you put something on a stick, it makes it a pop, right? So lollipop. Okay, and so we'll keep talking about this because no one in Britain or in the United States would call this a lolly. Sounds really strange to us.
We say ice lolly as well. Yeah, ice lolly.
Ice lolly.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
for
say
like icy
popsicle.
pole?
Yeah, yeah. Icy pole?
Icy pole.
Oh my god, I'm
That's so
confused.
cute. Icy pole.
Icy. What an icy pole.
That's what it is.
Oh wow.
Okay, so icy pole. So the ice lolly is this ice cream on a stick, right? So as soon as you put it on a stick, they call it a lolly there. And then the Australian, Bella, she calls it an icy pole. Does anybody know what a pole is?
No.
No. So the pole is just this long metal or sometimes wooden stick, and you usually put a flag on it, or maybe you use it to put up a fence. And so you have these poles, right? And so icy pole sounds like a cold pole to us. So that's why the other two were laughing so much. That sounds so silly. That sounds so funny, right? In America, I would call this a popsicle. Okay, ice cream on a stick, I would call it a popsicle. All right. And the next one, we already saw what American John said. He calls it cotton candy. Have you all had cotton candy before?
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? It's very fluffy. And then when you eat it, it just disappears. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's very sweet, very sweet. It's just sugar, and they have a special way of stretching the sugar out. It's really cool. Does anybody know what I would call it in Britain?
No.
No. Australia. Okay, we'll listen in. It's very funny.
Cotton candy for America.
It's different.
Candy floss.
Candy
Oh,
floss.
fairy floss.
Fairy
Fairy
floss.
floss.
Wow, Australians are creative. I like this. I'm going to go back home to England and
Yeah.
say fairy floss, and everyone's going to look at me like, what the hell did you just say?
Where have you been?
Yeah.
Okay, so they call it candy floss. And the first time I saw this, oops, that's too big. Candy floss. And the first time I saw this, I thought, that's very strange. Very strange. I don't know what this is. Does anybody know what floss is?
Yes. It's
You got it? Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. It's the string that you use to clean between your teeth. And so when I see this word, I think floss made out of candy. Ugh, right? Can you imagine
yes.
rubbing candy on your teeth? And here they call it fairy floss because it's like a fairy made it. It's so wonderful, right? It's very soft. Okay. Good. All right, this one is kind of interesting.
This one.
Oop, we got the American John, sorry. I wanted to
Go back home to England and say fairy floss, and everyone's going to look at me like, what the hell did you just say?
Where have you been?
Yeah.
The next one is.
Okay. So this is just a special shop where you can get wine or beer or alcohol, right? And that's almost the only thing they have in the shop. Here in Czech Republic, you would call it a potraviny. Do you have a special name for it where in Belgorod?
No.
No? Okay, you don't have shops like this?
Alcohol shop.
Alcohol shop? Okay. Interesting. So we heard John already, he calls it a liquor store. And in Britain, it sounds really funny. So let's listen. Okay.
This one.
Liquor store.
Off license.
What?
Off license.
Off license.
Off license.
What's on license?
We don't have one.
Why is it
What is license?
I have no idea where it originated from, and it sounds really illegal. But
It does,
it's
yeah.
an off
Yeah.
license, yeah. We don't have an on license.
Yeah, we call it a bottle shop, or if you want to shorten it, a bottle-o.
Follow. What does all O stand for then?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
It's like how Australians just shorten things. Yeah, so most people don't say bottle shop, they just say I'm going to the bottle-o.
Do you also use the word liquor?
No. Sounds really foreign to British people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just say
Do you say
alcohol.
liquor?
Yeah, we just say alcohol as well.
Alcohol, booze.
Booze.
Yeah, we use alcohol booze too.
And
Okay. So here they call it an off license. And license is something official. So if you have some like official document, this would be a license. What other kind of licenses can you get?
Driving license.
A driving license, right? So if you have a special document that you put in your pocket, so you can go driving. So off license sounds like you're not doing something you're supposed to be doing, right? So it sounds really, really strange. Even to British people, it sounds very, very strange. What do Australians call it?
Bottle O.
Yeah, the bottle O, right? The bottle O. I'm going to the bottle O. You want anything? Very interesting. All right, here we go.
this is gonna be the last word. This one.
What are these?
Cookies.
Cookies, biscuits.
Cookies and biscuits. Who says cookie and who says biscuit?
Cookies in America.
Yeah, there you go. Cookies. Here. And sometimes in Britain you will hear the word cookie, but it's a special kind of biscuit, right? Biscuit. And also this U right here is it's very silent. It's almost like it's not there. Biscuit, biscuit. Okay, biscuit. Biscuit. And the next picture down here, this is what I would call a biscuit. And what I call a biscuit, this is bread that you would have for dinner. And it tastes very buttery and it tastes very salty. And it's made with Buttermilk. Do you guys know what buttermilk is?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so buttermilk is this very kind of tangy, how shall I say? It has a special taste to it, right? And so this is bread made with buttermilk, and it's just folded a couple of times and then it's baked. It's really simple to make. But this is why it's confusing, because if you say biscuit, I think this, and British and Australian people think this, and most Europeans think this sweet cookie as well. Okay, let's listen.
Is that a cookie or a cracker? I'm gonna guess cookie.
Yeah, cookie.
Yeah, cookie.
I'll tell you what, it's neither because it's a biscuit.
Yeah, that's a biscuit. Biscuits are mainly sweet, and then crackers are more like savory.
And you also use the word cookie, right?
We use
for different
cookie.
kinds of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Made of dough, and like typical chocolate chip.
What about biscuit in America?
It's like Southern style biscuit. It's about, I don't know, this thick. And it's a certain type of bread and a certain type of way of making the bread. And that's called a biscuit.
That always confused me, because people were talking about like eating like biscuits and gravy or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would you eat
Biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, and
because
then
biscuits are savory.
yeah, because I didn't realize a biscuit was like bread. I was like, why would you eat?
Wow.
It's like maybe if you slice off the top of a muffin, that's the size of a biscuit, but it tastes nothing like a muffin.
If you said biscuit and gravy in England,
You'd be like,
people would be like, what the hell is that?
Right.
All right, good. So in Britain, they would call this special type of bread a savory scone. Uh-oh, my internet is unstable. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And I would probably say that they call it a savory scone here. The only reason I know this is because, do you guys know the restaurant KFC? They make chicken?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So KFC makes very, very good biscuits, lovely biscuits. So when I went to KFC here in Europe, I thought, I'm going to get some biscuits. It's going to be great. And I looked at the menu and there are no biscuits at KFC. And the reason why there are no biscuits is because of this confusion. They don't want people ordering biscuits and thinking that they're going to get these sweet cookies. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So don't be alarmed, but everybody's going to change their clothes because I took 2 videos and I put them together. Okay. So what is this thing here?
Makers, trainers, runners.
Yeah, okay. So we talked about this last week, right? What do
Yes.
they call them? Sneakers in the US. They call them trainers in the UK. And they call them runners in Australia. I might also call them tennis shoes. But it depends on where you're from in the United States. Tennis shoes. So like you're going to go play some tennis, your special shoes. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So, how do you call this?
Sneakers.
Sneakers. What about UK?
Trainers.
Trainers.
And we call them runners.
Runners.
Yeah,
I love the simplicity of Australia.
because you run in them.
But you train in them.
Because you
You don't sneak in them, right?
But what about actual running people? Are they also called runners? Yeah.
Yeah, runners wear runners.
And in America, you call that sneakers again?
Sneakers.
Sneakers.
And I don't know where that comes from because you don't sneak.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe because they're quiet, they're rubber.
You might as well be sneaking.
You might as well be sneaking.
Yeah.
Okay, so you might as well be sneaking if you're wearing sneakers. They asked Australian Bella, the people who run, are they also called runners? And she said, yes, runners wear runners. People who run wear runners. Okay, good. What is this thing called?
No.
You don't know? Anybody have a guess?
Van.
It's close to a van. It's a truck. A truck. And so they'll call it a truck in Australia. We'll also call it a truck. We have many, many, many different names for this thing. So let's listen.
Ah, I know yours because I watched Top Gear.
Oh, yes. You watched that? Yeah.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's good, good.
We got like a couple different names. One is just truck, because that's fine. Or rig. Rig is like a big truck. Or, oh, three. Rig, truck, semi. Those are your three. But that would just be a truck or a rig. A semi would be your really long one. Yeah, a really, really big one that you see in America.
What about the UK?
It's a lorry.
Lorry.
I love
Lorry.
names.
Lorry.
So we have a tongue twister,
Yeah.
which is, maybe you know, it's where we say red lorry, yellow lorry, really
Yeah.
fast. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to make a fool of myself.
Lorry, yellow.
Red lorry.
But you
yellow
You can do it?
lorry.
Do it.
Red lorry, yellow lorry.
But really quickly.
No, I can't do it.
Then how do you call this?
We just call it a truck.
Truck.
Really?
Oh.
There's nothing fancy in Australia
Wow.
for that one. Yeah.
Truck.
All right. Interesting, right? So he called it a truck or a rig. I would call it a big rig. Big rig. But he just called it a rig. He also called it a semi. We have lots of words though. Tractor trailer. 18-wheeler, because they have 18 wheels on the bottom there. And what do they call it in Britain?
Lorry.
Lorry.
Lorry, right? A lorry. And the tongue twister was a very difficult thing to say, tongue twister. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Do you guys wanna-
Learn it, yes.
You learned it. Okay, good. Do you guys want to try it? One really quick. Lisa, can you say red lorry, yellow lorry?
Lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry.
Kirill, red lorry, yellow lorry? I don't know if Kirill can hear us. Arina, you want to try? Red lorry, yellow lorry?
Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Very good, very good. Jane?
Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Okay.
Red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry.
It always catches you, right? Nastya?
Oh, red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Okay, good. And Ulayana?
Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Okay, good, good. You all did great. It's very tough, even for me. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Okay, good. What is this called?
Apartment blocks of flats.
Okay, good. Yeah, so this, you got almost all of them, right? So,
Apartment block in America.
So, apartment. I would call it an apartment building, but he will use the word complex. Apartment complex. And that word is used as well, but apartment building is okay. And then, Arina, you had the right one for Britain. What did you call it?
Block of flats.
Block of flats, yes.
Yeah, a block of flats. Right, good. And we'll hear in Australia, they'll use both words. They'll use flat and they'll use the word apartment. And sometimes the apartment is special, fancy apartment.
Oh, good. Okay.
So this type of building, how would you say that?
Apartment complex or apartments.
Apartment. What about the UK?
We'd call it a block of flats, or just if it's the one, then a flat.
Oh,
Flat.
block of flats.
A block of flats.
Oh, block of.
Yeah.
flats. Okay, got it.
But you don't really use
Wouldn't say-
flat complex or
No, or a flat block. No, that sounds a bit strange.
yeah, just flat.
A flat
Yeah,
block.
flat
would be
or a block
parking
of
lot.
flats.
Yeah. What about Australia?
See, this is where I get a bit confused because we use both of those. We use apartment and flats.
Any difference?
I think, to my knowledge, apartments are bigger. So apartments will have more stories, whereas a flat might have like 2 or 3 levels, and that's kind of the distinction between it. But we use both.
And I believe in the UK there are also like apartments, which are considered quite fancy.
Yeah, they're like
type of
studio
residence.
apartments, yeah.
All right. So if it's a fancy apartment, then we'll call it an apartment rather than a flat. Okay. When I'm here in Europe, I will use the word flat because people are more familiar with the word flat, right? So even I have to adjust my language sometimes, okay? What do we call this thing? Do you guys know?
Cart.
Okay, a cart. Where would they call it a cart?
Britain.
Yeah. Have any other guesses?
Carry.
Yeah, in the US, we will call it a cart or a shopping cart. Sorry, what did you say, Arina? I think you have the right word.
Carries.
One more time. You're kind of going in and out. This in UK,
Trolley?
yeah, it's called a trolley. Good. Sorry, I had a hard time hearing. Okay, good.
I think we would call this shopping cart. Or cart.
Yeah.
But shopping cart for full name.
Yeah, cart. What about the UK?
This is a trolley or a shopping trolley.
Oh.
Trolley.
Oh, maybe I knew yours then, sorry.
Yeah.
Trolley.
Trolley.
Interesting.
Yeah, we also call it a trolley.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
trolley as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting because like sometimes Australia and American words are same, and
Yeah.
sometimes Australia and British words are same. So that's really confusing.
So I can be friends with everyone.
Yeah, but it's like we can't be friends.
no, we're done.
Yeah.
You and me
it's over.
done. But when Australia has their own words, it's like really
No one knows.
crazy.
Yeah. So are you not really used to the word trolley?
Trolley to us would be like, maybe if you've seen in San Francisco or something, it's, you know, the type of train looking thing on tracks that uses electricity to be moved forward. And that would be a trolley.
It's a
When
trolley
we thought of
car,
that.
right? The full name.
Yeah, trolley car.
Yeah, because we call it trams.
Oh, okay.
Melbourne has the biggest tram network in the world.
Who?
Melbourne, my
Melbourne.
city.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, I see.
All right, so they'll call it a trolley or a shopping trolley. I don't know if it'll fit. Yeah, it won't fit here, so we'll just do it up here. Shopping trolley. All right, and then they'll also use a trolley here. Whenever I hear the word trolley, since I'm from the US, I do think of these kind of funny looking cars that go on tracks. But I wouldn't think of a tram. A tram to me is something different than a trolley. So we use both trams and trolleys. So really kind of interesting. Yeah? Okay. Good. Any questions? Easy peasy?
Easy peasy.
All right, good. Here's the next
This
one.
one is the next one.
All right, what are these? Very tasty. Sorry?
Cucumbers.
Cucumbers, they start as cucumbers, but you put these cucumbers in vinegar and they get smaller and then they get really
Salt.
tasty. Sorry, Jane?
Salt. Cucumbers, but it is.
Does anybody know? Anybody know?
No.
All right, let's have a listen.
This one.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
That's the sour one, right?
love
Yeah.
This
So
is
American
pickles.
pickles.
Yeah.
What about pickled cucumbers? Just pickled?
Just pickles.
pickles.
Pickles, never pickled. Just pickles.
Pickles.
Like a pickle, plural. Pickles.
Oh,
Gherkins.
gherkins.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah,
Yes.
gherkins.
And you have to say it like that too.
Sounds different.
Gherkins.
It sounds almost like you want to puke or something. Gherkins.
Gherkins.
Yeah, that's because they taste so bad.
It tastes so good. Excuse me. We need to talk.
Gherkins.
What about Australian?
It's another situation where
Oh.
we use both.
Oh, I see.
So
Are you
if
just making
it's
this up?
no,
If it's smaller, it's bigger, it's pickles.
yeah.
Is it really?
Wait,
That was just a guess.
I'm trying to think now. No. If it's kind of bumpy like that, then it's a pickle. Wait, I can't remember which way is which.
Yeah,
but one is bumpy and it's a pickle, and then one is smoother and it's a gherkin, or the other way
Or
around.
vice versa.
Like in a burger, it would be a pickle, but then if you get it from like those Eastern European stores,
Right.
then they're
right.
gherkins.
Oh. So you use both.
Yeah.
In London, there's also a gherkin building, right?
Yes, we call
What?
it the gherkin.
Yeah, because it looks
It's
like
in the
gherkin.
shape of a gherkin.
Gherkin doesn't really sound vegetable
No.
either, right?
Neither does
Aubergine.
aubergine.
Gherkin.
Yeah.
Gherkin.
The next one.
Okay, so we call them pickles. Pickles. And in the UK, they call them gherkins. And in Australia, they started making fun of Bella because she uses both words. And so they started making fun of her. Oh, when do you use this word? And when do you use that word? She said, if it's on a hamburger, it's a pickle. If you get it in a special shop, then we call it a gherkin. This, I think, is a borrowed word. I've heard this word in the United States, but almost everybody calls them pickles. In the very beginning, Korean Billy asked American John, do you call them pickled cucumbers? And if you said pickled cucumbers, people would understand you. They would just think, is there any other kind of thing? But we love pickling things, right? So sauerkraut is pickled cabbage, and pickled green beans and pickled carrots. It's, if you put anything in vinegar and let it soak in vinegar for a long time, then it will become a pickled vegetable. Okay? Pickled vegetable. All right, good. Any questions? Do you guys like pickles? Do you like the taste of pickles, Lisa?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Nastia likes
Yeah.
pickles. Yeah. Jane.
Yes, it's very delicious.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Good. So everybody likes pickles. I like pickles too. I like the sour ones. Here in Europe, you can only get the sweet ones, and I don't like the sweet ones so much. I like the sour ones better.
Is this one?
All right. What are these? Anybody have any idea? It's these straps, and they're used to hold up your pants. So you either have a belt or you have this. No one knows? Okay.
We know what this is, but in English we don't know.
Okay, let's listen. Let's listen.
Got it. Suspenders.
Suspenders.
And that'll be X-shaped suspenders because there's
Yeah.
Y shape and X shape. But suspenders.
Yeah, suspenders. That makes sense. What about the UK one?
We call them braces.
Braces.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do.
Braces. But you also understand suspenders, do you?
Yes, yeah, suspenders.
Oh,
Like,
I
I
see.
think I've become more like accustomed to suspenders.
They are all like imported, exported.
Yeah, because I
right?
have a few and I buy them like online and they're always like suspenders.
Yeah. What about Australia?
Suspenders.
Suspenders. What about braces?
Again, if you said it, I would know what it is, but we wouldn't use that. We just say suspenders.
So braces have another meaning.
Yeah, never,
Right,
never
in
those.
America.
It would only be, only the thing for the teeth. Straighten your teeth out. Braces, braces, braces. Yeah, only the teeth.
Yeah.
What about like, if you have an injury
That's
and then
a brace. But you wouldn't have, you could have several braces,
Right.
but usually you just have one at a time. So it's like,
Right.
oh, I have a brace for my arm or my leg or whatever.
okay, same word though, right?
Yeah, same word.
You also use brace for injury.
Yeah.
So you can both wear a brace and braces at the same time.
With braces.
Braces. Wow, you're like the king or queen of braces.
Oh my god.
Look a bit strange though, that combination.
Yeah. So right.
All right. So they call them suspenders in the US. They call them braces in England, and they call them suspenders here.
Very long suspenders.
Yeah, suspenders, a very long, weird thing. I've never worn suspenders. I only wear a belt. Okay, so if you said braces to me, I would immediately think of the metal on your teeth Who here has braces? I think Lisa, you have braces, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so braces are the things that help make your teeth straight and pretty and perfect, right? Do they hurt a lot? Your braces, do they hurt a lot, Lisa?
Repeat the question, please.
Do your braces, are they painful? Do they hurt to have them on?
They a little bit hurt.
A little bit short? Okay. So sometimes they get them tightened and you're like, ah, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Does anybody else have braces?
No.
No? Okay. So yeah, in the US, when you say braces, I immediately think this. And then a brace is something that you put over your elbow or over your knee when you have a hurt elbow or a hurt knee. Yeah? Good. And so that's the end of the video. So if you ever want to watch any more of Korean Billy's videos.
We've been talking about 10 vocabulary differences, American one, British one, and Australian one. And thank you very much for your good job.
Thank you.
I've learned a lot. Yeah. And I think that's it for today. And if you like this video, don't forget to click thumbs up and subscribe to my channel as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So you can find him here if you want to find him. Okay. So pretty good videos. I really like his videos. They're very fun. He gets lots of different people together to speak about English. But we have 3 more pictures here. So what would you call this next one here?
Sweater.
Okay. Sweater. I would call it a sweater. And in Britain, they would call it a jumper, right? Jump. Sounds very strange to me. I think in Australia, I'm not 100% sure, but I think they call it a sweater here as well. Or maybe they call it a jumper. I don't know. I will have to find this one. Jumper. Okay. What about this one?
Jeans.
So the general jeans are a special type of pants.
Pants.
But I would call them pants, right? And here in Britain, they would call them trousers. Trousers. Have you guys heard this word before? Trousers?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And in Australia, again, they would call them pants. Does anybody know why this is kind of silly or interesting?
Yes.
Okay. What do they call pants in England? In England, they call pants underwear. What you wear underneath your trousers is called pants. So if someone says, "Hey, nice pants," to a British person, they might say, "Oh, is my underwear showing?" Right? So it could be very confusing. It's like one of these flip-flops, thongs things. But it's pretty funny to think about. Okay, what about this thing?
Bin.
Yeah, it's a bin. Trash can. Okay, good. So in the US, I would call this a trash can, and the stuff that goes inside is trash, right? And here they would call it a rubbish bin, and the stuff that goes inside is rubbish, right? Rubbish and trash. Interesting. And I think if you use this word rubbish in the United States, people will understand you, but it sounds very fancy, like it's rich people trash. And then trash is understood in England, but yeah, it's they just don't use the word. And here in Australia, they would use the word rubbish bin. Okay. Good. So we've got our worksheet completed. Are you surprised at all of these differences?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are many, many more differences. And it's not just differences between American, British, and Australian English, but also Canadian English is sometimes different. South African English is sometimes different. English from New Zealand is sometimes different. English from Ireland is sometimes different. So after a while, when you start learning English, you'll start learning all these different words for the same thing. And after a while, you'll start to think, wow, there's so many words. How do you keep it straight? And this, I think when we're young, we hear so many different words for the same thing when we're watching television, or when we're at the movies, or when we're speaking with our friends. And now with the internet, there's YouTube, and there's all of this internet that we can get all the different kinds of English. And so we start to just see it as we're growing up. But for you guys, it's very difficult because you have to just know all of these words. It all comes at you all at the same time. We get one word at a time. We learn one word at a time. So, but don't worry too much about it. If you use one word, especially because English is not your mother tongue, English isn't your first language, we are all waiting for you to use words in interesting ways, and we're very good at understanding you anyway. Okay, so don't worry, everyone will understand you. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about this lesson?
No. No.
No.
No? Did you enjoy it? Was it fun?
Yes.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Okay, good, good. I'm glad you liked it. If you have any questions later, let me know, and we'll go over anything that isn't clear, or maybe you have questions. Maybe you heard a word and you think, is it different? What do you guys think about Australian English? You think it's funny? You think it's weird how they change everything all the time?
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, right? And words like this, sanga, and makas, ambo.
They have a lot of slang words.
Yeah, they have a lot of slang words, right? They like using very short words. They don't like speaking so much. How do you guys like the Australian accent? Is it hard to understand?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Some words.
Some words, yeah. Right. Some words you think, what is she saying? Even I have trouble sometimes. So one of the hardest accents for me to understand is Scottish. And maybe we'll watch a short video with Scottish. How would you guys like to learn Scottish English? Yeah, no way?
No.
Maybe, okay, no. Scottish is really, really hard to understand. Even for people like me who speak English every day. Okay, so that's all our time for this lesson. Thanks for joining in again. It's good seeing all of you. And I hope you have a good week. And stay warm. I guess it's snowing outside, so stay warm. And I'll see you all next Thursday. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Good luck.